Glorious weather, as you can see, at Misano. And what a pleasure, frankly, to welcome you to the third of the racing weekends. It's round 6 we're about to get underway with the CIV. And as you can see, a decent crowd has turned up for this one as well. Man of the moment is Eddie Lamara. Can anyone stop him? Well, Michele Magnoni did exactly that in qualifying, and he's your man on pole today. Those pairings looking very, very close at hand. And if you look down the list of bikes here, BMW, Ducati, Kawasaki, it's a real proper mix right the way through the top 10. Nearest Suzuki in the frame is in P9. It's David Fanelli. But glorious conditions on what is always a testy circuit, Terry.
Fantastic circuit, and I tell you what, this place is in a fantastic place as well. It's literally about 3 miles away from the Adriatic coast, Rimini and Cattolica, and it's absolutely beautiful here. You can see the weather is in its mid-30s. A little bit hot for racing, but should be a test for the tyres, that's for sure.
Well, on that point, of course, we have had some spills here this weekend. One a little bit more serious than others, significantly so. Alessia Polita spares some thoughts for the young 27-year-old. She is in hospital in a serious condition after crashing out in qualifying during the 600s, the stock 600s qualification round. So our thoughts most certainly with her.
Yeah, and 1 minute to go. You can see the heat haze rising off the track there. It's going to be a hot one.
Yes, most certainly is. Now, in the drive down to the first corner, Variante del Parco, the park curve, a bit of a piff-paff, but extremely high speed by the time they come round at the end of lap 1.
Yeah, you tend to find, Carlton, that there's a lot of incidents going into the first turn because there's not a great deal of run from the start-finish straight down to the first turn, and we've seen it in MotoGP, in World Superbikes, quite a few incidents, so keep your eyes open for them while everyone's trying to barge their way into the perfect line going into the right-hander. It's such an important corner to get the left-hander organised and get the drive out to Curva de Rio.
Here are your qualifications. This is how they go. They go in threes. Mercado sharing with Magnoni and the championship leader Mara. Goy leads off row 2 with Andriozzi and Callia. Conforti, Lai and Fanelli making out row 3. Maglioni is also here, and it's BMWs and Kawasaki's kind of locked together at this point. Castellarini, Della Caccia and the rest. They are already just having their sighting lap, and believe me, they need plenty of that. Don't forget, Paul will be on the left-hand side of the track to give you the best view into Variante del Parco, but the brave can mix it with the timid on a track such as this.
They can, you know, as I said before, that first turn is a real dodgy turn, and I know that the pole sitter will be worried about that, because if someone gets an exceptional good start, they can bowl up the inside of you and push you offline. The best way push you offline and sometimes actually take you out. But the riders are out there now on the warm-up lap, just to give you a bit of an idea if someone's unaware of warm-up laps for the Superbike races and the other races in these classes. They get 1 lap to warm up the tyres. Although the tyres are on tyre warmers, they still run at a slightly lower temperature than the ultimate temperature out there. So they put kind of a small resin on the outside of the tyres when they're brand new, and you've got to try and wear the resin off of the outside of the tyres, get the heat into them, get the heat and generate heat into the brakes, suspension, and also kind of get some heat into the engine. Although it's still in the 30s here, it's really important to get all that done so you can actually accelerate and turn into the first corner as hard as possible at racing speeds.
Well, as they go round, don't forget Eddie Lamara, who leads the championship, won yesterday, round 5 of its double racing weekends, of course. As you join us, he's on the back of 3 victories in a row, having just locked out Vallelunga. Didn't have things all his own way in Mugello. That was Mercado at that point. Well, Mercado's on the front row as well with Eddie Lamara. Leading them off will be Michele Magnoni. So the quality very much to the fore as far as qualification is concerned, although Ivan Goy never to be discounted, and he leads off the second row here. Expect to be quite a few chops and changes after the first couple of curves. Big overtaking opportunities. Places like La Quercia, about the midway point. If you get your braking wrong, then you're going to be taken.
Yeah, that's right. And one of the interesting things here as well is that there's 3 different manufacturers on the front row. We've got BMW, Ducati and Kawasaki. So real interest. On the tyre side, Pirelli in the top 6.
There we are. So 18 laps in total. It's Superbike's first here this CIV racing weekend. Glorious sunshine. You can see the heat haze. It's round 6 of the CIV in Italy, and we have Superbikes for you. It's a very, very busy calendar, as I'm sure you know. Flagman's happy, and indeed they will get ready to rise to the revs. It's 3x3, don't forget, here on this fairly narrow circuit. Away they go, and it's an absolute stormer right from the very off. Magnoni going defensive. Lamara also involved, and Mikado into the first corner, getting an absolute belter.
I think it was Lamara that got the whole shot there.
It was indeed 1 of 18. It's our opening lap here. It's very, very tight together as they come through this pit path down into Curva del Rio. There is a double right-hander before they pick up speed and head down towards the Quercia and the first real overtaking opportunity, but they've already got riders going backwards here, as you can see.
Yeah, you can see there Lamara's bike changing direction. The Ducati, great for that. Ducati not that far. It's their local circuit, really. So, and actually got the Ducati working much better than what it has been. We see at the last World Superbike race that Carlos Checa was actually finished 6th place. I know it's not great for Ducati, but they were really struggling and languishing right down the order. That's number 111, Giovanni Baggi. He's had a bit of an off there. Just see taking another rider off. Can't quite see who the other rider is, but he's okay.
The other rider, I think, actually managed to restabilise his bike, sort of shoved his elbow, managed to right the bike, and got an absolutely superb drive out of it. Likewise here, we've got a superb battle up front. Mikado also in the frame here, number 92 on the Kawasaki, and Lamara not having things all his own way up front.
Now, Ivan Goy running in 3rd position as well. No, actually 4th position he's running in on the on the Ducati there. So. Oh, someone's gone wide. That could have been Goy, just as I spoke about him.
Well, there you go. You've cursed him once more. Meanwhile, out front is the 47 machine of Eddie Lamara being chased down good and proper, as you can see. Back to start-finish straight right now. It's choose your lines time at this point. You can get a nice wide line around the outside, and that's exactly what's been taken here. Eddie Lamara is going to have to battle for this right the way through. I've got to tell you, into this lovely little sequence, he gets the spot back. Great pressure here from Magnoni, who started off on pole, number 119, and it's these two locked together at the moment. It looks like a private battle.
Yeah, these two are starting to edge out, aren't they? So far, they've made about 3/4 of a second break away. They're really pushing. You see the angle of the lean there, just coming down, accelerating out of the chicane down to Quercia corner. This corner here is a really interesting one. Really got to get hard on the brakes. Braking as hard as possible down to 2nd gear, and it's actual bank corner. The corner has got a really nice camber there. It's a great corner. As you accelerate just here, accelerating out, the actual camber straightens out, and you get a big slide.
And likewise, as you were saying, the back end is the issue. It can slide away from you, and you just have to wind in the revs on the exit here. Both of these absolutely masters of the course, however. Lamara and Magnoni 1 and 2 in the opening race of this weekend, and it very much looks the same as we may well be repeating ourselves here, because the gap that they've posted on everybody else is enormous at the moment.
Yeah, it's fantastic. They're really getting good drive off the corners, and Magnoni's bike seems to be a bit stronger at the moment, coming off the turn onto the back straight. You just see there going for Curva 1 back about 3 corners. That's 175-mile-an-hour corner.
A lovely little interchange there. Makato and the Kawasaki just drifting in and through on Ivan Goy, making that spot his own in the 92 machine. On board it, 2 laps completed of the 18. This is spinning by nicely. 2 riders up front. We know all about them, but further behind, well, it's a much tighter affair. As you can see, it's Goy and Callier dicing for 3rd place, and battles as well going on for a 7th spot as we see it now. That's Alessandro Andriozzi on the Kawasaki, who's also got himself into a tight spot. I've got to tell you, Fabrizio Lai with room to make up. Conforti, there we are, and Viziello with Fanelli and Soltarelli rounding out your top 12 as they come through. 3 laps completed, and it is a very, very warm day and a fantastic battle up front. Little dab of the old leg there between Lamara and Magnoni as they go in. Lamara seems to be the man who favours that. Just hangs that leg again and again, and he's counterbalancing himself essentially. There are a few sort of negative cambers that they've got to deal with on this track.
Yeah, so they say, you know, I never used to use that type of riding when I used to ride, obviously quite a long time ago, but a lot of the youngsters nowadays are dangling their leg on the inside, trying to get the centre of gravity on the inside of the corner to help turn the bikes. But there's nothing between Lamara and Magnoni at all at the front of this race. They really are pushing. I tell you now, they're about half a second a lap quicker than anyone else on the circuit.
You know, Castellarin and his BMW is making decent progress here. He's posting some decent lap times, just nicking a little bit of time, it seems, through the timing gates on some of those around him. Certainly faster on those parts of the circuit, but out front, there's no doubt about it. It's almost an exhibition going on here from Lamara and Magnoni. Look at the gap they're posting. Pick a point on the circuit and then just do a little bit of a count back, and I reckon they've got what, 3-4 seconds?
3.4 seconds actually in front of the third position rider at the moment.
There we go. Magnoni, fastest lap, listed right now. He's on chaseback, of course, started on pole, does not like what Lamara is doing to him at all. Lamara has done it, don't forget, on 3 occasions. Mercado, incidentally, took the opening couple of rounds of this season, and he's being beasted by these two boys. They've just left him behind.
Yeah, that's right. They really are pushing, aren't they? And we see Lamara just pulling out a little bit on Magnoni there, and looks like the Ducati's working fantastic.
Nice.
Whoa, oh, Magnoni's gone wide.
Well, you know what? I think he's got a problem.
No, he just outbraked himself there, Carlton.
Simple as.
I think so, yeah.
Well, he sat up and looked like he was a passenger just for a moment. Well, this is played right into the hands of Lamara, and away he goes. Doesn't need to be asked twice.
Well, Lamara doesn't know that he's actually gone yet, so he's going to be pushing really, really hard. So he's just coming around. This is that corner I was telling you about Curve Ono coming through here. It's 170 miles an hour, a really fast corner. You see the bike sideways there, that's 175 miles an hour, 180 miles an hour on the exit. So the Panigale looks like it's working exceptionally well.
Just squirreling underneath him, Mercado, and then nearest man to him at the moment. Magnoni needs to pick this one up, but Lamara is a class apart right now. Well, I hope this doesn't go right to the very end, but he's riding as if he's under great threat at the moment. That is Goy, Ivan Goy, who's moved himself into a great position here on board his Ducati, sailing through. Well, Goy's been around for a long time. We're more than aware of him. And I just wonder whether he's the man to close this gap. Certainly looks that way at the moment.
Yeah, I think Magnoni just sneaked into the third position behind Goy there, so...
Great work, lovely weather conditions here, and we're just around about just over quarter of the way through, and 3 seconds and more. One error.
Magnoni up the inside of Goy, and he makes it stick.
He certainly does.
Does he? No, he doesn't.
For a moment, Goy just hitting him straight back, and then watch this, into this one. And lovely interchange, fabulous.
Beautiful, yeah, just going through that fifth path. Sometimes you go, I was explaining that earlier on, you go in a little bit too quick, go wide, and the guy behind you can just turn it a little bit tighter. This is where Magnoni made the mistake last time, going into Quercia corner, the bank corner, and manages to hold it now. Can he pull down Lamara now? Can he catch him with a nice clear track in front of him?
Well, Goy off the podium in the opening race, I've got to tell you. But Mara, Magnoni and Mercado it was that lined up the top 3. It's not going to be like that this time by. 5 laps completed of the 18. And you can see Ivan Goy is on the hunt, but he's just been distanced ever so slightly here. On a circuit such as this, Terry, just how much notice, how much did you get led by other riders who are actually in front of you? Because it is very technical here.
It's a very technical circuit, yeah. And I really, quite honest with you, it's a bit of a battling track. You know, if you're having a bit of a battle, you can really push hard, engage yourself on the guy in front. But Magnoni now has kind of got the bit between his teeth, hasn't he? He's looking at the Lamara, he can see him up ahead. And I think that Magnoni is actually pulling Lamara in just slightly. Lamara's seen his board now. You can see the boards along the start-finish straight there on the right-hand side. They've told him that he's 3 seconds in the lead of Magnoni. This guy here we're looking at the moment, the Italian actually, going through the piff-paff corners, absolutely, the angles of lean there, fantastic. Pushing really hard. Looks like it's the lead's actually coming down for Lamara. I think it's down to about 2.7. So he's pulled out about 0.3 of a second, back 0.3 of a second on Lamara there, Magnoni.
Well, Lamara hails from Ferentino, not that far away from this glorious part of the world, the east coast near Rimini. on the Italian Adriatic. And as you can see, if you're suffering with the weather in Northern Europe, then this is the place to come quite clearly. The racing is fabulous as well. 6 out of 18 laps completed already. We're deep into this one. Lamara out front with his Ducati, and he's got clear space at the moment on those chasing him down. But Magnoni's on his case, so is Ivan Goy, and Mercado trying to make up for, well, a missed opportunity, unfortunately for him, in a what looked like a terrible braking error. But I thought he must have had a mechanical. So bad was it?
Yeah, that's right. Just went in there. It's one of them corners we were explaining before. Going into there, you get if you get a really good drive out the chicane, you can actually get sucked into that turn a little bit too quick, and that's exactly what happened to Magnoni.
It's nice to see that Kawasaki's have found themselves a great home in this CIV championship. Yeah. Very much part of the action.
As are they all over the championships, the national championships throughout the world, really. The Kawasaki is a fantastic bike, especially in the super stock class as well. Well, we've seen in the World Superbike races, you know, that it's one of the quickest bikes out there at the moment.
Yeah, and it seems as well one of those that people like to work on.
Yeah, I think it's a relatively cheap bike compared to, say, the Ducati to actually, you know, to actually build and prepare. And it's a good bike. It's got good mid-range power, good top speed power, and especially in the super stocks, it's got great electronics.
Well, this is Fabrizio Lai on the 32 bike at the moment, who is leading this little trio. As you can see, he's in 4th place. And gaps listed there for you. These guys have been locked together, but it's off the podium essentially.
Yeah, Kevin Callier there as well.
Yep, Kevin Callier and his Ducati, and Mercado, of course, is also on board his Kawasaki. Saltarelli and Della Cecca likewise. So just approaching the halfway mark in this race today. Lamara is the man out front, but we're just keeping tabs on this battle for 4th place. Terry, you were talking about some of the areas here where you can lose the back end. You've got to take great care both into Tramonto and also down into the Curva del Carro. Great overtaking opportunities, but likewise the very last, the Misano, as you come back onto the start-finish straight.
Yeah, we're just looking here. This is a really good overtaking spot. Just on the brake. Just see there. I think it's Kevin Kelly going up the inside of Lai, trying it anyway. That is one of the most. It's kind of one of the most popular places to sort of jump the opponent ahead, but it tends to make lots of contact, you know. And here as well, going into the last turn. Normally see them at on the last lap, you know. Lots of contact between them two corners. For me, the best corner to overtake will be going into onto, you know, the right-hander going onto the back straight. So. We'll have to keep an eye open there. But Lamar out in front now, he's in a good rhythm, you know. He's out there pushing along. Magnoni just pulling him in the odd 10th of a lap or so. But he'll be looking at his, Lamara will be looking at his pit board, and he'll be getting all that information through. And hopefully, well, for him, hopefully anyway, he'll be able to just up the pace slightly if he needs to. So he's got to get himself into a good rhythm now, Lamar.
Well, Michele Magnoni posted the fastest lap of this race, 1:38.283. It's his efforts trying to get back at Lamara, which are being writ large on the timing screens as you speak. Ivan Goy in the mix, but it's Mercado, Callier and Lai in this battle for 4th right now. Well, you saw the back end just starting to slew out ever so slightly there, as he just got the power down, Ivan Goy. Or was it Magnoni just ahead of him?
Magnoni on the BMW has been pushing that rear tyre really hard, whereas Lamara's not been pushing quite so hard. I don't know what we're looking at there, a little bit of empty track there, but yeah, so Magnoni actually you can just see Magnoni now on the gas accelerating off the turns, and that power of the BMW. These bikes putting out over 200 horsepower. Yeah, amazing bits of kit. Although they're based on a road bike, you know, the state of tune is amazing. They've got lots of special electronics and traction control on them and everything, so they really do work well. But Magnoni's bike obviously got a little bit less traction control because he's backing into the corners and he's accelerating out hard and laying big black lines. I can't see his rear tyre. If Magnoni catches Lamara, I can't see that Magnoni's going to have the rear tyre to beat him at the end, but we don't know. There's still a long way to go, only halfway through the race now.
It's amazing actually. See Ivan Goy, by far the smoothest of the riders here. Magnoni just seems to be snatching at it. Is that just the way his BMW's working?
I think it's the difference between the 4-cylinder and the 2-cylinder. Just to explain to the viewers at home who don't know that the Panigale, the bike out in the lead, the Eddie Lamara bike, is a V-twin bike, and whereas the Magnoni's BMW is a 4-cylinder. Did you see a little bit of an incident here? Oh, just loses the front. That's that place where I was explaining to you where a lot of people try and overtake, but it can end in tears.
Absolutely. Well, we've
someone else going down as well.
Lost a number here. Incidentally, Misano is a safe circuit. It's got plenty of big runoff zones, and as you can see from the various barriers, some of which are inflated, I might add. It is a place of great care. So unfortunately, Alicia Polita in qualifying has injured herself rather badly, and she's in intensive care from the Stock Seed 100s qualification, I might add. Maybe have more on that for you a little bit later on, but yes, yeah, worthy of our thoughts.
It is a shame, you know, Carlton. Sometimes you can get a freak accident that you can't avoid, you know. And if you go down, you get hit by another rider, or you're unlucky or whatever, you can sometimes seriously get hurt. But as we've seen so far, lots of the riders sliding off, just jumping back up and brushing themselves down, trying to pick the bike up. So it is a relatively safe sport, you know, especially with all the latest gear, the leathers, the helmets, and the gloves. You know, they really are good bits of kit now. Years and years ago, never used to have any body armor or anything, and now they are very strong bits of kit.
Well, circuit design as well has come on an awful long way. You see some of these safety zones that the riders will naturally be thrown towards if they get things a little bit wrong. There's a lot of safety space built into these circuits. Lap 10 or lap 11, I should say, just about to approach. Well over the halfway mark, and this is, well, there's acres of space between these guys at the moment, and it's Magnoni who's suddenly got a little bit smoother out there by the looks of it.
Yeah, Magnoni's about 119. Magnoni's about a tenth or two a lap faster than Ivan Goy, who's running in third position on the Panigale Ducati Panigale. Just explaining before that the Ducati out in the lead of Eddie Lamaro is a V-twin, whereas Magnoni's bike here, number 119, is a 4-cylinder across the frame 4-cylinder. So they make power. Although the power is a very similar amount of power, they make power in different ways. Normally the V-twin is has got a bit more mid-range, whereas the BMW tends to have a bit more top speed.
It's lovely to see him winding on the power actually as they come out of these corners, and the BMW seems to have some great delivery, maybe just a little bit too much. He looks like he's snatching at it on occasion as he well, I was hoping we were going to ride around with him just for a little bit. That is Della Checa, I beg your pardon, making a wide pass here. Beautiful run it is he got as well, and maybe sticking on Alfonsi. $11 of the 18 completed, and Magnoni at the moment, there he is. He is heading Ivan Goy, and it's kind of on as even, I suppose, amongst the top dogs, and very much the cream rising to the top as far as the championship is concerned. Lamara, who is in a class apart, it seems, at the moment. He's on a superb run through Vallelunga and Misano. I think he's going to tidy up here and make it 4 in a row, Terry. Quite a record.
Yeah, that's right. It could be a similar result to the first race, actually. Lamara won the first race, which was yesterday, and he's actually waving his foot there to one of his mates by the look of it, just going into one of the turns. Yeah, Lamara actually won the first race yesterday, Magnoni second, so there was about 3 seconds between them as well, so which is a very similar amount of space between them at the moment.
Well, you'd expect that of two riders who are absolutely at the top of their game, untroubled. They got the get-go right at the very beginning. Superb launch off the grid, which they, of course, were heading. And it's just a question of who's going to come out on top at the end. And Lamara, after the first race, with such a margin, I think, with a standard toe-to-toe battle between the two of them, eking out into something of a gap, and that's what we've got right now. Just checking out Ivan Goy, who's running in third place as we speak. Mercado is in fourth with Kevin Callier and Fabrizio Lai locked in a battle for that fourth spot as we speak. I've got to tell you, the gaps between Lamara, Magnoni and Goy pretty standard. Look at that, and Mercado leading that great battle for fourth place, but really everyone else looks to be positions locked with 6 laps to go.
Yeah, I think Mikado would be a bit disappointed with that position, really, because in the first race here, he actually finished on the podium. It wasn't that far behind, really. It was only was about sort of 6 seconds behind second place. So he's a fair way behind the Argentinian.
I don't know what Goy managed to dial into the machine, or maybe just had a cleaner run, to be honest, than he did in the opening race. But he's running a lot quicker and a lot happier now. Some riders just tend to take a while to map a circuit into their brains, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and not so much the circuit as well. You got to remember that this Panigale is a kind of a new bike, really. Although it was out in Superstock the class last year, it's not really been in Superbikes that much, apart from the Italian Championship. And in World Superbikes, it hasn't really had the development. And we've seen lately that this bike has been developed and it is improving all the time. Well, it's out in the lead at the moment, so just going a little bit wide there.
Well, I was just seeing coming into that corner, the back wheel looked like it was suffering.
Yeah, a little bit of concrete dust on the ground. I think that's where we see the rider crashed earlier on. He might have spilled just a little bit of petrol or oil on the ground. Eddie Lamara wheeling across the line now, just to complete his 13th lap.
Well, you know what? He's in very dominant form. The way he's riding as well, which is extremely smooth, it's going to bode well for tyre wear, which is always an issue in these races.
It is, yeah, especially around this circuit in this heat. You know, although the ambient temperature is about 32 degrees, the track temperature will be well into the mid-50s, so it can affect the tyre wear of the tyres. So that wide there, that's that same corner we've seen quite a lot of crashes before.
Well, some bigger names than him have gone off at that point. There we are, latest laps listed for you. You can see just how fast they're cruising at the moment. And Lamara is cruising, I've got to tell you. He's on the top of his game. You can't really ease off at a moment like this. Basically, there's one racing speed and you've got to stick to it because it's where you're comfortable. Well,
we'll go back to the tyres as well. We just explained about that before the rider ran off the track. And you have to manage the tyres in these bikes. They put out so much horsepower that if you start really accelerating way too hard and spinning the rear tyre up off the corner, it will rip it to shreds. It really will. So tyre management now will be going through these riders' heads. The guys that are out in front and the experienced riders out here, they will be looking after their tyres as well. I know it doesn't look like it, but Lamara now will be looking after that tyre and just keeping an eye on that gap between him and Magnoni, whereas Goy, we just see here going into off the back straight, will just be trying as hard as he can to stay in his third position.
Well, you know what, Terry, we're going to break the back of the season with this one. We have one visit, just a solo race at Imola to come, and then it is in fact it's a double weekend, I beg your pardon, and then Mugello to finish off. But the dominance that's being shown at the moment by Lamara is 107 points in the championship coming into this race after taking the opener here in Misano, as opposed to 92 from Mikado. It just makes you wonder who's going to catch this one.
That's right, yeah. And also you got to remember as well that the Barney Racing team, they do get some special parts from Ducati, and I think that Ducati will be using this Italian Championship to try new parts on the bike. And it doesn't surprise me that the Ducati Panigale is so far out in the lead, and it looks really good. It looks stable. We have seen that the front end on Carlos Checa's bikes just looks a bit iffy, you know, going into the turns. It looks like it tucks a little bit, and I think that they are starting to get it sorted out. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see that Carlos Checa will be further up the order in the next World Superbike race. That's my prediction anyway, so fingers crossed for him.
We'll keep you to it. 4 laps remaining of this one, and apart from just keeping an eye on these guys, it looks like we're all extremely well spaced out right now. The circuit, as it is so technical, kind of finds out riders' confidence levels and indeed skill levels very, very quickly. And it's mirrored in the gaps that you're seeing on your screen right now.
And this circuit at Misano is quite a bit different to the other circuits they're going to be going to soon as well. Imola is a much faster circuit. Imola is a more of a similar circuit than Mugello. Mugello is similar, so up and down, fast, big flowing corners, whereas Misano, where we are now, is kind of tight and twisty, really. You know.
Just looking at the...
was he telling him to slow down?
Yeah, he was. Just ease off ever so slightly. You've got such a massive gap. Yeah, exactly. And why not? He has got a big gap as we speak over Magnoni. And in fact, it's more than enough to take his just to ease off a little bit. But as I was saying just moments before, Terry, you can't really do that as a rider because you start making mistakes.
You can ease back a couple of temps, and I know it sounds like you can't just slow up a couple of temps, but you can just by backing off, just slightly, not getting on the gas quite so hard. But you know, Lamara will be looking at his board. You can see he's got +4 seconds almost, and he's almost got a second to give away per lap if he makes a mistake. So he will be keeping an eye on that. See, he's just gone a little bit wide there. One of the problems with slowing down, Colton, is that if you do slow down too much, you can lose concentration, and that means you can end up crashing or running off the track and losing that lead. So he's got to keep himself focused and keep his head down.
So Lamara, there it is, 4.5 seconds, just approaching 4.4 over Magnoni right now, and you can see how that has just widened that gap. Lamara then in the lead by approaching 4.5 seconds right now. No wonder they're telling him to slow down. That's quite a cushion with only 3 laps to go. He's not going to get caught provided he doesn't make a mistake. Mistakes, when they do happen, Terry, can happen all over. It doesn't matter on the entrance or the exit into curves. You can lose it at just about any time, but it is on the exit where most of them seem to let it go when they're in this sort of brain fade zone.
Well, yeah, you tend to find that when you're really pushing hard, you tend
snatching at it.
You lose the rear. You lose the rear a little bit. But when you're in the lead by so far, sometimes your concentration can lapse, and you can end up going into the turn too quick. That's probably one of the most dangerous things that Lamara at the moment, because he'll end up going into the turn too quick and then running off. So he's got to concentrate on getting his brake markers right. When I say about brake markers, that's a place on the circuit that you pick up when you come down the straight or whatever corner you come from, and you'll pick it up and you start braking at that point. If you miss that, then you will run straight on, because I'm telling you now, if you miss even by 6 feet, you can actually lose the apex and go straight on into the dirt. So when we're talking about 150-mile-an-hour plus corners, you know, it's so easy just to make that mistake.
So essentially, it appears that they're getting it wrong on the exit, but it's the setup that's been wrong actually coming into it.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, especially at this circuit, you know, it really does take a lot out of. Misano takes a lot out of the rear tyres, and you can see just the rear tyre snaking around on Callier's bike there, I think it was, going a bit sideways, going into the Quercia corner.
Nice little battle, this Callier and Lai. Mercado's seems to have just distanced them ever so slightly into a 4th place. Goy and Mercado will be thinking about that podium, but I've got to tell you, it's Mercado and Callier that are closest at hand, with Lai also involved, and Vizzello is a long way back. In fact, probably around about 10 seconds, which is a huge margin here with 2 laps to go. The man out front is Lamara, and he's in a happy place.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling for a rider, you know, when you're out there, you see your board, you come round and you see +1, and then after a couple of laps +2, and there's nothing better, Colton, I tell you. And then when you're in control of a race like Lamara is there, you're in a perfect zone, you know, and everything seems to work for you perfectly and great, you know. It's a great time, but when you see the -1, and that's when it gets really bad, and it is tough then. But there's no reason why Lamara can't just cruise to victory now, you know. So we're just looking down the lower orders, and we're just going to get a bit of a
look at the gap between Goy and Mercado. 8 seconds as it is. We're looking at Vizzello and Castellarini, I think it is. Both BMWs here, Vizzello the 45 and the 16 bike of Castellarini. They are, well, they'll pop up on your screens in just a few moments' time. They are around about 10 seconds down, probably might be being a little bit unkind to them, but on the final lap, and here he is. This is Lamara, and right from the very beginning, this man has been a class apart. And you take one look at the standings, and well, we kind of suspected that this may well happen, and so it's proved. Right from the very beginning, there was only one man who could stay reasonably close to him. That was Magnoni. But really, Lamara has got this wrapped up, and he has had for much of this race.
Magnoni when he made that mistake going in La Quercia corner on the brakes, that was it really. He lost 3 seconds, didn't he? Dropped down to 3rd position, and then there's no way he was going to catch this man. He's just on fire.
He is, absolutely. Well, he's Eddie Lamara in 1989, making me feel very old indeed. Look at that. He is absolutely on top of his game. Heads into the final lap. I think he was busy thinking about celebrating. I've seen the front end come up a number of times as he's going past the pits.
That's why his mechanics having kittens there. He's thinking, do not get overconfident. You can see it. They're so pensive, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'll tell you what, that's a moustache. Or maybe it isn't.
Mistake or moustache?
Yes, it needs to be a bit more luxurious. Maybe this man can help out. He is a class apart, and he has been for all of this race. Look at him, and he's still not holding back. He wants to just take a little bit of care. The bike seems to be so well balanced underneath him, though. There's been no suggestion that that back end's suffering at all.
No,
because he's so smooth.
Yeah, I think the factory Ducati have got this bike, starting to get this bike sorted out once and for all, and hopefully we'll see a bit more of that in the World Championships as well. But I know they're probably not going quite as quick as the World Championships are here, but. You know, Lamara's no mug, I can tell you. He's a decent rider, and you know, he's hopefully we'll get a wild card in a few of the World Superbike races.
Well, likewise, Ivan Goy. Mercado is heading for 4th place here. Calia and Lai with Viziello and Castelrini, that little battle that we saw. Saltarelli is well distanced, I'm afraid, and so are much of the field on this final lap. It's a bit of a parade lap already. Look at that. He's still racing, by the way, while waving.
He did check, though, didn't he, over his shoulder before he done that. You can see that, just in case they caught him up. And, and again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He's getting the traction control, he's getting the anti-wheelie off, so he can do a nice wheelie across the start-finish straight now.
Yeah, he's thinking about doing it properly this time. Yeah, he's keeping it quiet.
He's going to see his team.
He's off to see the boys. There we are. Good lad. And the gap, 3.8 seconds. Well, he probably gave away a second right at the end, just with his waving and shenanigans. But you know, that's the luxury that he had. Magnoni comes in second place. Goy makes up the podium. Mercado, Calia, Lai. It is your top 6. Viziello in 7th place ahead of Castellini. Castelrini, I beg your pardon, adding an eye on the end. And Saltarelli in 9th ahead of Della Checa. Well, it wasn't the most dramatic race, I'll tell you that, but you know something else, Eddie Lamara will not be bothered about that whatsoever. That was a good win.
Not at all, yeah. As a rider, you know, to win like that is great, because not only do you stamp your authority over the opposition, but you kind of have a kind of an easy time. I know it sounds crazy, I know he's pushing, but when you haven't got someone tucking up the inside of you, almost taking you out every 5 minutes, you know, or every 5 seconds even, you know, it's a great feeling, I've got to say. So he'll be waltzing off to the beach after this, which is a couple of miles down the road, and kicking back. I would have thought.
Have you seen the beer tent? It's well worth a visit.
That looks like your sort of beer tent.
Yeah, lovely, lovely part of the world to be at this time of year. The Italians generally tend to come out of winter looking a little bit grey, slightly yellow. But yes, when the sun comes out, they all look absolutely gorgeous, and it leaves rather pink Brits such as myself. Yes, slightly embarrassed. Of course, Terry Rhymer is extremely swarthy and fits right in this part of the world. Well, you did as a racer as well, didn't you, mate?
Basically, do you know what? Italy, and it's my favourite one of my favourite European countries, that's for sure, and it's a great place, especially this part of the world.
Yeah,
it is a very nice place. You know, he's one of the. If I would recommend it to anyone who's going to come down to watch a race, come down to Misano and bring your girlfriend or your wife, and they can sit on the beach. They're not interested in racing, while you can watch your racing, and it's a great holiday. It really is a great destination.
Well, if we have a pan of the stands, you'll see that the families are well and truly represented. Lamara, Magnoni, Goy making the podium, Mercado, but look at the gaps. There was Mercado. In fact, it was only a second clear of Calia and Lai by the end. 21 seconds down, though, unfortunately, was Viziello. And there are the rest of them, and that speaks volumes about today. Lamara is, at the moment, the absolute king. Can anyone catch him? He's even further ahead now in the championship. 132 points he will have. Absolutely remarkable. And Mercado, finishing in 4th place, has not done himself any favours. The winner of the opening 2 rounds of the season in Mugello will be hoping to pick up the last 2, I suspect, at that track. But the way that Lamara is riding right now, I don't think anyone's going to catch him.
No, I don't think so. And the way that Ducati have seem to have got this bike working really well, you know. But saying that, you know, his teammate Goy was in 3rd place, wasn't going as quick as Lamara, so Lamara is riding this bike, you know, riding the wheels off the bike. So yeah, that's good. And we would like to see the Ducati out front. We don't like to see the Ducati in World Superbikes. Actually, I don't anyway. I don't like to see them dominating. You know, it's great to see the other makes up there. And in this Italian Championships, you know, it seems to be the case.
Saw a big thumbs up there from Cosimo De Vecchiaro from the BMW, one of the Gentlemen's Club runners. Goodness only knows what that is. I know what this is, though. This is Ivan Goy, who is on the podium for Ducati. 1 and 3. They'll be pleased with that as a brand. There can only be one winner, though, and today that man has done it again. 4 in a row for Lamara. Absolutely remarkable.
Doesn't seem overjoyed.
Well, I think he's getting used to it. Maybe he's getting a bit complacent, or maybe he did all his cheering on those last couple of laps.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think the inside of that helmet needed a volume control, believe me.
Yeah. Good day's work.
Yeah, very much so. Well, he deserved it. Put a lot of work in, so have his team, and it's paid off. Good boy. Well, there we are. Just thinking about a fallen teammate, and the emotions overwhelming him. I like that.
Wow, don't put the hat on. He's messed his hair up. That's why he seems to be a bit unhappy.
Yes,
but no, great ride there. Great ride. I can't see anyone really wrestling this championship off him. Can you?
I can't. Lamara in dominant form, as he has been for much of this season. Good boy.